Beautiful. Well, I appreciate you guys for being here today. We have Brad Miller here to speak to us about the evolution of what it means to be a professional and an entrepreneur. Brad and I go way back. Brad is a lawyer. He is a coach and an advocate. He's a small business owner. So he's got a lot of perspective in what it means to challenge yourself to be more than just a profession. And I love his voice. I love his story. And I've loved watching everything unfold as he's kind of risen to the occasion of the modern lawyer and being a voice for his industry. So, Brad, we'd love to have you introduce yourself and your backstory. Before we do that, we're going to have the community members and the team here introduce themselves so that you know who is here to support you. My name's Adam Griggs. Obviously, we know that we've been connected for a while, and I am the co-founder of CLARAfi, and I am your moderator today. And I will turn it over to Rachel.
Hi, hey Brad, welcome. Rachel Mccool from GoDaddy. I manage community experiences and have been with the company for about 5.5 years, and work closely with Jonathan, and just thrilled by Adam and all the wonderful guests that he brings. And Nicole was one of our guests, and she had an amazing story. So I can't wait to hear yours.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Graziano. I work on the brand social media team here at GoDaddy. So I work with Rachel on community, but for the majority of my time, I work on our social media channels, managing engagements and building strategies around how we talk to our customers and people who could possibly be customers and those in our community. And these, again, every single week I leave here totally blown away, and I can't wait for that to happen again. It's great. So thank you so much for being here today.
I'm Nicole Tucker. I'm the founder and CEO of Tucker Academy. We provide learning support services for the neurodiverse community, and I'm a member of this GoDaddy small business community. I love this group. I love the support of it. As Rachel said, I was here. I had the honor of speaking last week, and I cannot wait to hear your story this week. So I'm here to support you and learn as much as I can.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here to support us and to support Brad. Brad, why don't you give us the 30,000-foot view of who you are and what makes you the advocate and the man you are today?
Well, that's a really big ding there after everybody's praise, but I'll see what I can do here. My name is Brad Miller. I am a lawyer. My focus for my law practice is on working with small businesses. I help people buy and sell their small businesses, and I work with people who are looking to buy into franchises, so franchisees. I've been focusing really on that for the last 5 years pretty exclusively. In addition to my law practice, I also work with lawyers and help them build their practices, particularly solo and small firm lawyers. A small firm is a small business, and so helping them get that set up and all the different parts of running a business in addition to doing what they do on a day-to-day basis, helping their clients. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love it. Your business mentality has always been a little bit different because you didn't start at a law firm out of school, did you? You jumped straight into being a business owner, which is kind of crazy for the industry you're in, right? The profession.
It was not by design. And I often say that probably has caused me to have a little bit slower of a growing process than I otherwise could have. But yeah, I started my law practice going solo right out of law school when I couldn't find a firm job. And so rather than sit and wait some more for somebody to come in and hire me to work for them, I had bills to pay. I had student loans and things I had to start paying back. So I had to jump in and start practicing my own. And so started my solo practice out of law school, and for the most part, I've been kind of on my own for that length of time, and that's almost been 15 years now.
Yeah, congrats. 15 years strong. I love your perspective because you are working with entrepreneurs. You're working with people to help either perpetuate what they've created by giving their business a chance to survive for another generation or somebody else who's buying it. But not just that, you have the perspective of being a business owner yourself, right? So you have the availability to talk to them about not just the transaction and move on. It's not just the hourly. And you and I have talked at length about, what that means to have a mentality of not charging by the hour and not charging based on a piece of paper you're sending over. It's based on the relationship and what you're bringing to the table. So I'd kind of love to hear a little bit about your journey as far as how you work with small businesses and what you see moving forward.
Yeah, like you said, I'm a small business owner. And a lot of, I think nobody really goes to law school thinking I want to be a business owner. They all think I want to be a lawyer. I want to help people. I want to argue in court or help those less fortunate, whatever it might be. That's kind of the reason why they go to law school and want to be a lawyer. It's not because they want to run a business, but for those of us who are solo small firm law owners, we have businesses. And I believe, I don't know what the statistics are nowadays, but really the majority of law practices out there are solo and small firm practices. So there's a lot of business owners out there who are also practicing law. And so I try to take that mentality, that mindset when it comes to helping lawyers, but also with my law clients. I am a lawyer, I'm a business owner, so I understand their processes. I understand what they're going through, some of the struggles that they have, some of the challenges that they face. I look at their situations from a business owner mindset, not just a lawyer. I find that a lot of lawyers, especially those who are in the bigger firms, don't really have the experience running a business. And so they come from let's find all these issues. Let's try to eliminate all risks that we can sort of a mentality. And that might work for a large corporation, but for a small business owner, business is about risk. And it's not about eliminating risk because you can't. Risk is what makes a small business. Risk is what allows you to get big returns. It's what makes you wildly successful. And so you have to have that risk in there, but it's really balancing that risk, with, how comfortable the business owner feels, what's the upside, what's the downside and things. And I think being a business owner myself, it makes it a lot easier for me to be able to advise them on this and kind of see things from that perspective.
Yeah, I love the brand you're building. I feel like because I follow you online and I listen to some of the stories you share and tell, and the way you do it is so empowering, and it allows them to feel disarmed, as if you're not chastising them. You're not telling them what they should or should have done better, because you are a business owner and they can respect that, and it puts you at a peer-to-peer level. And that's powerful, because people want to know, what's the secret sauce? How do I make myself better? And when you're a lawyer and you're coming into an environment where you haven't been taught in school that you're supposed to have an entrepreneurial spirit and you're supposed to be building your own brand, that's got to be a hard thing to change your mindset on. So I love that. Is there something that you're putting out there that you're helping people to kind of rise to that occasion, to channel, their entrepreneurial spirit for these new lawyers coming out?
Yeah, right now a real big focus of what I do is helping lawyers, solo small firm lawyers. And again, I know from my experience coming right out of law school, the challenges that it can be. Law school teaches you how to think like a lawyer. So it teaches you how to spot issues and how to analyze and make arguments and, do the research and things that a lawyer needs to be able to do. But those are different skills than what it takes to be a successful business owner. And, I just talked a minute ago about the risk factor, but also things like, accounting, how do you do books? How do you do marketing? Marketing is a huge thing that, unless you have some sort of a business background or went and did some business classes in college, you probably don't really know anything about how to brand, how to market yourself. And all you see is what's out there, the billboards or the flashy ads and things. And so it's really tempting, I think, to see those and think maybe that's how you do it. So one of the things that I've done for the last, now it's been, I think we're in year 9, through the Columbus Bar Association here, is the Legal Practice Lab program. And I like to tell people that this is the program that I wish that I had when I started practicing. It is a 6-week program. There's 6 sessions, each are 3 hours long. And we go over the practical aspects of running a law practice. We talk about some of the things like choosing a practice area. We talk about work-life balance or integration, or however you want to think of it. Finding an office space. We go over accounting practices. We go over how to determine what kind of technology you might need for your practice. And marketing, we have a whole week, a whole session on marketing, branding your law practice, website, social media, and then how to deal with clients, how to work with clients, how to really make your practice more client friendly, client welcoming, but also how to know how to use your intake process to weed out the clients that are not going to work best for you, and know when you get a bad client, how to part ways without running into problems with them, or the bar associations and things. So that's something I'm working on again for the last 8 or 9 years. And then just my general coaching practice that I do, working with lawyers and helping them really focus on the business side of what they do, and growing and kind of getting that expanded for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're small business owners, right? I've had the pleasure of participating in your legal practice labs and being there as both a visitor that's listening in and speaking and having some conversations with these new lawyers. And they're not all new. Some of them have been in the industry for a long time, and they're just now finding that they should be, channeling themselves as a business owner, or maybe they're pivoting and changing. And I love the community feel that you have over there. I mean, for the last 9 years, you've been bringing these people in and teaching them and challenging them to understand what it means to be a business owner and not just a lawyer, which is already hard enough. I mean, being a business owner is difficult. So throw more on your plate, right? But you do it in such a great way that the community can support each other. And there's a lot of dialogue. And the dialogue allows people to kind of listen in and have awareness. And they learn things about marketing. They learn things about, what it means to have particular clients in a niche, and a niche that makes sense to you, right? It's something that you're passionate about. So I love that. Tell us a little bit about how the coaching aspect came about. That's kind of new for you in the last few years, right?
So it really is kind of an extension of the Legal Practice Lab program. The Legal Practice Lab is kind of geared towards new lawyers, but as you mentioned, we actually have lawyers from all areas of practice, from the newbies all the way to those who've been practicing 20 plus years, which was not something that we really kind of intended or planned to happen, but found that, like you said, there's a lot of lawyers who are realizing, hey, I kind of need to look at some of the business stuff with my practice. Some of the older attorneys have been able to kind of ride on referrals, for instance, and then they find out that maybe a referral source dries up, and they need to start finding other ways to market their practice. Or there are a lot of lawyers who have been practicing and maybe they're deciding to go out on their own for the first time, and try to making that transition of balancing all the client stuff with practicing the law on the business side. And so one of the goals has been to create this program and to make it kind of very dialogue driven. Want to be able to talk with them, and one of the directions that I give to all the presenters, all the people that I have come in and speak, is this is not supposed to be a lecture. I don't want talking heads sitting there and spouting forth information. If you want a PowerPoint, that's fine, but I don't want you reading off from the slides. I don't want you, just giving them information. I really want this to be a conversation. Explain your experiences with this stuff. Let them ask you questions. Really the goal is to help the people who are there with what they specifically need. If they have a specific question on some, finances stuff for their business, I want them to be able to ask those questions and get that help. That's what we're here for. Again, not just to be talking heads and talking to them. And my coaching practice is really kind of built from that, when I realized how much I enjoyed doing that, and kind of the energy that I got. We have these on Fridays in the fall. And so every Friday in the fall, when we'd have these sessions, I'd come out really pumped, really energized, and really excited about it. And, finding that this is what I wanted to work on. Like, I have other client stuff, but I really want to work on this legal practice lab stuff. And so, realized that there was something there. And obviously, if I can help through the legal practice lab, younger lawyers and some of this basic level, marketing, finding space, insurance, those kind of situations. There's a lot of lawyers out there who maybe are a little bit more advanced in their practice, but they still have problems. Maybe they're bumping up against the wall. They've, got to a certain point of growth and they just can't figure out, how do I get to that next level? What does it take for me to get from here up to here? And so to be able to kind of help them see what their obstacles are and kind of be able to get past those obstacles. Because most of the time we are our own worst enemies. We are the ones who gets on our own way and are really impeding our growth. And so because it's our own fault, we're kind of in the middle of the weeds, it's hard to see that. And so as a coach, I can kind of jump in and say, okay, looking at this from a third party view, it looks like that there may be some things here and here that, may be tripping you up. Maybe these are some issues that are holding you back and that we can focus on, and some things that as a, a person who's in the day-to-day grind, you may not see, may not be able to acknowledge. So that's kind of how I got to that point, and kind of where I've been trying to go with the coaching.
I love it. Patty.
I'm finding this very fascinating, Brad. This is beautiful stuff. While you're doing this lab, what popped into my head is, did you seem to notice there was like a pattern of specific things that they all were struggling with, right? Because I know that I have done something similar with chiropractors, and, they just get out of school, they hang their shingle, and they're like, oh, now what am I supposed to do, right? Because nobody does teach them those things are in school. So have you noticed while you're doing this that there is a pattern, because they're all at different levels, like what you said, that they seem to need help with the same things, certain things over and over again?
Yeah, so there's definitely things that kind of reoccur, things that seem to every year that we do this kind of pop up. Work life, kind of that balance, integration, how you deal with that is always an issue. Lawyers, I think by default, are perfectionists. We tend to be kind of type A, go-getter sort of a personality, but we also tend to not like to ask for help. And so I see a lot of times that there's lawyers who aren't sure how to balance the drive, the ambition, the wanting to grow their business. I want to be this lawyer, I want to be able to help all these people. How do they balance that with, I want to have a family? Particularly if they're a younger new lawyer, maybe they're starting up a family. How do I balance the needs of my family? Spending time with that. How do I make sure I don't neglect my friends? It's very tempting when you get out there and practice. You start working long hours. Friends you might have had. It's kind of hard sometimes to kind of keep track of that. So work life, that balance, that situation, that always usually comes up. Finding narrowing down your practice area is something that we usually talk about. As Adam knows, I'm a huge advocate of niche practicing and finding ways that you can narrow down your practice. And a lot of times people get why this is a good idea and they see the benefit of it, but they have a hard time kind of figuring out how to do it for themselves. So that's something that comes up that we like to talk about.
Is that some of that? Because like I know from a marketing point of view, a lot of times when people are niching and they say, oh, this is what I want to do. Also, when they start doing it, they really don't have that platform, right? So they don't have the people. So once they figure that out, then they have to know, that whole part of that balance is working on your business and in your business. But once you do decide to niche, which is really good, once you do decide that, though, then you have to ask yourself, are those people my target audience? Because, there's target market and target buyers, right? So then it's really like, oh, am I speaking to them? Have I built that platform of the right people? So when I'm talking, I am talking to the right people, which kind of always coincides with that. But then it takes on a whole nother dimension. It's a whole nother dynamic that is important in their business. So I could see how you would have to deal with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely all part of the branding, all part of kind of the marketing, the practice, and it all ties into the website and ties into the social media and the referrals and really everything they do. It all kind of ties in together. Nothing is in a silo or in a box by itself.
Great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes we don't even get to that part. We even just get to the part where people are hesitant to start excluding things. Especially if they're new lawyers, the mindset is, well, I need to have money, I need to have business and bring clients in. And I'm afraid if I say no to a client, or if I start not, doing a certain practice area, that means that now I'm not going to be able to get work in that area. And so there's a concern of, Am I going to be able to bring enough money in and have enough clients if I start narrowing down? And so it's a fighting of a tendency to try to do everything. And again, once we kind of talk about it, they understand, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I get the benefits of it, but it's still sometimes getting over that, the tendency, the hesitancy to really narrow down and to start excluding things, and then figure out how now that I've picked this and figuring how to pick that, how do I take that and market it to others and let people know that this is what I'm doing and this is who I'm looking for. And so to your point, going through the marketing of that is further practice.
That's the fork in the road that I think not just lawyers, but every entrepreneur, wouldn't you say, Adam, that every entrepreneur gets to that point in that business, doesn't matter really what they're doing, that when they decide they want to niche down, the fear, which I always say, this is where the abundance mentality and the scarcity mentality really comes up, because 95% of everybody, if you ask them if they have an abundance mentality or a scarcity mentality, they're all going to say, oh, I have an abundance mentality, right? You know, they think they do. It's one of those things we want to believe about ourselves. But when this thing comes up, that's when you really get to see that, yes, niching down can be better, but it's a little scary because that's where you have to have that trust factor, and you're literally at that fork in the road, and that's kind of where rubber meets the road. So I think that's good that you address that, though, because I think that's really, really important that they figure that out sooner rather than later, right? Because then it becomes one of those things that, oh, I wish I would have known that. So that's fabulous that you're addressing that right up front with them.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're mentioning this. I mean, everything that we do in our lives and in our business, we're telling a story. Whether or not we're meaning to, we're telling a story about our journey and about what we're trying to achieve, right? And Brad, I've watched you interact with other lawyers, and the way that they regard you is just excitement and happiness.
Yay.
And it is just it's embraced, and I love it. And then watching them come into these rooms where they're doing these legal practice labs, they're not going to sit there and fall asleep because, you know, lawyers don't get enough CE, right? They're there because they want to grow themselves. And I like that, because it is scary to change, especially if you're going into the thought of, now I'm a business owner, when I thought I was going to be working at some large firm. And when you're doing that and you're having to dial in and get your niche, it's a difficult thing to really settle on, because inside you think, well, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not prepared enough. Maybe I could be better at something else. But I watched your story unfold, and I got to tell you this, when people work with you, Brad, they're telling all their friends that not about you as Brad the lawyer, it's Brad can help you get into a business. Brad can help you become a business owner. Brad's story is, I'm bringing people to the table, we're having conversations, and we're creating legacies for businesses that would have died, 15, 20 years ago. And instead of dying, their employees are being, maintained. Their contracts and their brand, their reputation is being built up, and new small business owners are coming out of it. And people call me, when I refer people to you, Brad, people call me after the transaction's done and they own their business for the first time in their entire lives, and they have tears down, in their face, and you can hear them on the phone talking about how excited they are. And yeah, you're the lawyer in there, but you have the business owner mentality, and you have the capability of talking to them like a real person, peer to peer. And that's powerful. And I love that. And that is the story you should share with all these other lawyers, that they can have a brand and a niche, and they can have that referral source or that story that people are telling about them.
I think I'm just going to take what you just said, recording, I'm going to put up on my website, and that's just going to be the whole website. It's just Adam speaking and using that as a testimonial there.
Well, Adam is amazing for sure.
Brad, I love your story, because so many people don't realize that in niche areas of life, careers, that you're a business owner. And I love how you talk about people getting out of law school and maybe wanting to do their own practice and not really realizing, like, God, I got to run a business too, and just not having the training to do that. It's unfortunate. I mean, law schools should provide training and marketing and other things, even if you're going to work for a law firm. I think it's good to understand how the rest of business works, because you're working with people, regardless, it's still a business. So I find this really fascinating, and really interested in your lawyer. What do you call it? A lawyer lab? Your
legal practice lab.
Yeah, really interested in hearing kind of more about that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to quickly jump in too. I totally agree with Rachel. It reminds the whole time you were talking, because I am very far from a lawyer, but the idea of the value that you provide to lawyers who are trying to pursue X, Y, and Z, it makes me think of financial literacy in a way, where it makes me think of this undeniably necessary thing that every single person should be educated on, but you have to actively seek it out, right? Like, I graduated high school, I graduated college. No one ever taught me what a W-4 was. You know, it's that kind of thing where you sit here and you just go, you have these people who are graduating law school and they think their trajectory is going to be one thing, but then life comes at them, or they just decide they want to do something else. To have someone who's able to teach these skills and to provide this value for them and let them know, like, hey guys, like, you might feel like you're off the beaten path, or you might not know exactly where you are, especially after all those years of school. You know, I can imagine it might be a little disorienting after because you have to go to school and then you go to law school and then you're just in the world. I think it must be a really great, you must do a wonderful job at helping to put people back on their right path. And I think it speaks volumes about you first wanting to become a lawyer and what your intentions were for that, and how you have continued to find ways to help people. And it was wonderful to listen to you today.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great insight, Jonathan.
Yeah. Oh my God. I say that as someone who worries about money all the time. I sat here and I was like, what a necessary, thoughtful thing to do. So yeah, I think it's great. I'm going to jump though.
We're both going to.
Day, guys.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Adam, Brad, everybody else. See you hopefully next week.